Oh shit. Here we go again.
Hello and welcome out to this week's episode of Outbreak Gamers. I'm your host, David Anthony, and I have a very special guest with me today. It's Rhetri.
Yes, you got
I
it
got
right.
it right.
Not
got it.
Rhetri, not retry, Rhetri.
Rhetri. Or not the last one I said.
Right. It's all good.
Rhetri. All right, cool. Dude, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. I was very
welcome.
excited to get your invite.
Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I guess it's Game Pass Weekly is your basically your brand that you're out pushing, and I think it's great because it's a nice little kind of an algorithm, kind of a nice little catch-all for the latest and greatest information about Game Pass, which is huge. Oh my God, it's so huge. So,
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think I was kind of the idea for me was to kind of be the idle sloth of Game Pass, essentially.
Nice. It's a good goal to have.
So yeah, I mean, I was kind of ignoring Twitter in the beginning, but it was mostly just YouTube and TikTok. And then I was like, you know what? I got to hop on this Twitter thing. Now I just send out everything that I make everywhere all at once. It just makes the most amount of sense. And
well, that's that's really the best way to capture the attention, because there's a lot of people that jump around different markets. Like, I'm not on TikTok, and I don't perceive myself ever going to TikTok. Just, I don't know, just because I don't really feel like I'm a TikTok kind of guy.
I don't either.
Oh, thanks.
You know what I mean?
Yourself?
Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old now. I don't know, but yeah, the whole. I feel like maybe I'm too old for TikTok, but why not? Like, it's informational.
Sure.
I think the TikTok audience, will gravitate towards that sort of thing. So
right.
It's been pretty good on TikTok for me, actually. So
like N64 Josh,
right?
He's huge on TikTok. I mean, he has a daily show of him, basically playing Mario Kart, and has like 1 million followers.
Yep.
It's crazy. So
going niche can definitely help sometimes.
yeah, exactly. Maybe I should rethink this.
Right.
But my life choices. Oh no. Oh goodness. Well, gosh, Rhetri, to get these things started, let's kind of jump into I guess maybe what was your first job, or maybe some of your education as you started off. I know, like, I started working for my dad when I was a young man, but then went on to do other jobs, fast food, no exception.
Right. Let's see. I believe my first job was, I think I was 15, working at a restaurant as a busboy.
Nice. Done that.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm sure a bunch of us have. That was in New Hampshire. Right now, I'm actually living in South Carolina. So I did that for a while. Then I moved on to, I think, the Marriott, and I was a cook, which makes no sense whatsoever because I'm a terrible cook. So sorry to everyone at the Marriott that ate my food, but
that's so funny.
That was their choice to hire me. So then I went into television straight out of high school. Actually, right after high school, I didn't even go to college. I was big at my high school into video production. So I just begged for a job at a local television station in New Hampshire, was able to get it, and started off as a master control operator, which
very cool.
Sounds it's not though. It sounds a lot cooler than it actually is. It's kind of like the bottom tier job at a television station. No offense to mass control operators out there, but yeah. So then I did that, and I worked my way up to the production department in news, doing camera, um, doing technical directing, which is basically like a giant board with just tons of buttons, and you get to, choose the camera and the graphics and all that stuff. And I love that. That was a lot of fun. And then I got convinced to join the engineering team, which I had absolutely no aspirations to do that at all. But I was kind of fixing equipment and stuff like that on my own anyways. So there was an opportunity that came up, and my buddy, who was an engineer at the time, was like, hey, maybe you should, join us. And I'm like, an engineer? Are you kidding me? You guys like wear like Velcro sneakers. Like I'm good. Like I'm a nerd, but I'm not that big of a nerd. Well, I guess I am, because I ended up doing that, getting the job, and basically did that for a long time, up until I think 2017. And the only reason I stopped is because they actually sold the television station itself. So, but it was fun. I really liked being an engineer. That was cool. Then I've had a lot of jobs. So then, and I'm older than I look. I'm in my 40s. So then the station got sold. Me and my wife end up moving to Charleston because she wanted to move somewhere warmer, because we're in New Hampshire and it's basically Alaska there. And
cold most times.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I guess we'll move to a warmer climate. And I said, but I want to do something that I want to do. I'm not going back into television. I did it for almost 19 years. And I decided to open up my own dog care business, which could not be anything further from what I was doing. So I did that for a couple of years. And that was interesting. It was a lot of fun. I did that. That's when we lived. It was close to Charleston. We were living in a place called Johns Island, South Carolina. And I did that for about 2 years. Then my wife wanted to do travel, become a travel X-ray technician. So we made the tough decision to sell our house, actually, at what might be the worst possible time in history to sell a house. Right before the whole pandemic and everything kind of went down. And we did the traveling thing only for 7 months. So she only really got 2 jobs, because there's contracts, a 3-month and a 4-month. And all the jobs just went away. And during this time, I was doing like freelance editing, because I was taking my big Mac computer and carrying it around every time we moved and stuff. So basically that's kind of where I'm at now. So COVID happened, 7 months we traveled, and all the jobs completely went away. We were essentially, for lack of a better, we were homeless basically. So after that, we had to go back to New Hampshire. This is going to sound like a privileged thing here. I'm going to sound like an ass.
No.
We ended up having to live at my parents' lake house. It's not as glorious as people are thinking inside their heads, I promise you. It's not as nice as you're thinking inside your head right now.
There's the lake house again. There. It's been no summers there. I'm like,
right, exactly. It's not like that.
No, I'm sure it's not.
So we were there for 3 months. My wife was looking for a job and finally found one. And now we are living in Lake Wiley. I'm still freelance editing. She
Cool.
is teaching at a school for our X-ray students.
Nice.
And that's where we're at right now. So yeah, that's my long job, crazy history.
No, that's cool. That's cool. You know, like you were saying, you know, you sound privileged with the lake house type thing, and so was it?
My parents are not rich. They work their asses off.
Yeah.
We never went on vacations ever.
Right.
I mean, ever. The lake house, that's where they spent all their money, right? So that's where we spent all our time. I've never been to Disney still to this day. I will
14 times here, buddy.
You have a problem, Dave.
I do.
A problem I want to have.
Oh, goodness. Well, like, you know, if anybody's, you know, I mean, maybe it's not as bad as this, but you could always say, well, you know, was it Tucker and Dale? I think that movie. You know, you ever see that? Yeah. They're like, you know, we have a vacation home.
Wasn't quite Tucker and Dale.
Just well, see, that's what I'm picturing now. It's like, ooh, vacation home. No,
right? Yeah.
That's funny. But no, man, that's awesome, man. That's awesome that you guys are at least able to, you know, to get through it and get settled. I mean, like I said, I've talked to a lot of people that, you know, pandemic was rough on all of us. So
yeah, it kicked our butts specifically very, very hard.
yeah. And then, you know, I got several friends that were like, you know, that lost a lot of family, not just, you know, not just jobs and stuff, but like, you know, it was horrific. It really was.
Yeah,
but
yeah, for sure.
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, life moves on. But I guess let's change this to get to your gaming, because obviously,
sure,
you know, you got into gaming at some point, you know.
Yeah,
you were a little Rhetri, and
so for me, my gaming story, I guess, begins with the Atari 2600. So like I said, I'm not young. Obviously, if I started with that.
Hey, wait, what'd you say?
Right. Atari 2600, you say? Get off my lawn, boy. Yeah. So I had the ugliest console of all time, which was like the wooden panel Atari. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but
I still got mine, dude. So
you do?
There. Yeah, of
See,
course.
Man, I envy the guys like you that I always like sold the stuff to get the next thing, because we didn't have a lot of money, you know. So I would, I would love to play that again. Like Pitfall, Combat. God, Frogger was a big one. Probably Frogger was kind of like our number one game. Space Invaders, Donkey Kong, stuff like that. But yeah, oh man, that thing was so ugly, but I loved it so much.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Well, it's a good solid place to start, man. That's a if you get started on gaming there, that's a good way to start. So so I guess from the Atari, what was your next? Did you get like PC gaming, anything like that?
I did, honestly. I didn't start PC gaming to jump forward many years till last year. So I've been completely out of the PC game forever, and a buddy of mine convinced me to, you know, I was doing a lot of editing. I was actually working for another group trying to make like video content online and stuff. And I'm like, well, I was kind of sick, and I was a Mac guy my whole life. I was sick and tired of dealing with not being able to upgrade and do what I wanted to do with my Macs and stuff.
Right.
And I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm switching to PC. I'm working for these guys, which of course failed within like literally 90 days.
Oh no.
But I was like, I'm spending the money. I'm getting a nice PC, and yeah, I'm sold. Like Windows is great now. Like I used to hate Windows back in the day, but it's been very good for me, in my opinion, since Windows 7. Because I was using everything was Windows when I was an engineer. Like we weren't using anything Mac. The graphics guys, all those guys that were creating commercials were using the Macs. We were all PC. So yeah. Anyways, all right. So my next console was I think the Sega Genesis, if I'm remembering correctly. So I was exactly right. Sega, Microsoft, buy them. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be
Microsoft,
nice,
just do it.
Exactly.
So I was big into fighting games then. I think I was probably, I don't know, maybe a young teenager. I'm not good with memory and time slots, but it was like kind of like Mortal Kombat 2, I think was Sega Genesis was big then. Like Streets of Rage 2, I think was.
Oh yeah, great games.
Yeah, Castlevania, and Eternal Champions, which most people have no clue what the hell that even is, but it was an awesome. You do? Oh my God. Yeah. Every time I say that, no one knows what Eternal Champions is. I just remember this like level. Oh, I don't know what you call it. Basically, in the level where you take someone and you interact with the level itself and you throw them into a fire and they would just, I just thought it was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, it'll never get better than this. As I say,
there's a lot of
every
things,
time, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, there's a lot of games that are like that. You think, for me, I guess the really, when I thought this is truly next gen to me, was playing Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast for the first time, and I was just like, "What the hell?" Especially, I'd go in and play it's like a visual mode, like where your character would like, I guess they had them all set up in the suits and stuff, where they could track the actual live movement and stuff, and so they recorded that, and then they put the animation of them doing that in the like you just making all these
like
cool
a little cutscene type of thing,
right? But it was like it would sit there and play for like 10 minutes of all these fighting moves and them just jumping around the arena, showing off their techniques and stuff with whatever weapon they were using. It was so cool. I mean, I literally was like, when it first got it, I was like, what have you been doing? I don't know. Just watching this. I'm not playing the game like 2 hours just watching it. It was so cool. It was so neat, So I get it.
I did not have one of those. One of my buddies did, and that felt like out of all it kind of felt like out of all the systems, that was like the biggest leap. You know what I mean? Like now these days it's like, you get an extra like 200p resolution. Like you're not feeling the leaps like it did. I don't think, in my opinion, like it did back in the day.
Right.
But yeah, so I think after the Genesis was NES for me.
Which is great. I love NES.
I mean, some of the best times in memory was with the NES, like the Legend of Zelda, the gold, the gold cartridge, because we bougie, so we get fancy and get the gold one.
Oh yeah.
And Duck Hunt. So you had the crappy gun, and you would stick it against the television because somehow that
cheater. I'm just kidding.
Because that made it better. Tecmo Bowl. I remember the football game. Tecmo Bowl. Oh, so good. That's when I got into Ninja Gaiden too, which I loved. And I'm trying to remember what else. Oh, Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Which apparently is not Mike Tyson's Punch Out anymore. I think they took his name out
after he, had the whole
did some
lawsuit,
stupid shit,
beating his wife. Yeah, they decided to remove him from the game.
Let's separate ourselves from Mike Tyson.
It became Punch Out or Super Punch Out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I was trying to look up old games that I played too, and I was like, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and I was like, and it's like internet's
they're still out there. Yeah, you can still be like, there's stores and stuff that have them, use game stores and stuff like that. Still carry it. It wasn't like it was banned or destroyed. They just quit producing that title with that name on it. They just disassociated themselves with that kind of thing.
Right.
So, but
yeah, there was. I played Mega Man 2. That was a huge one for me.
Mega Man series is great.
It's still probably my favorite Mega Man of all time. In Super Mario Brothers 3, which to me was the game on the NES. I just, oh my God, I played that so much. And then I think I started moving into like PlayStation, the original, playing like Resident Evil, Tony Hawk, of course, like Dino Crisis, and I remember a game I really like called Parappa the Rappa.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
It's a big hit.
Yeah, was it a big hit? I didn't know if I don't know if it. Okay.
Yeah, it sold a lot of a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad.
Kind of one of those cult
hear.
classic type things.
Yeah. And Silent Hill, all that scary stuff I was into. And kind of then I think PS2. I remember there was a lot of weekends as a teenager playing like Guitar Hero. Of course, God of War, Silent Hills again, Resident Evil 4, probably the best Resident Evil ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah. I'm so glad they're remaking that, or whatever the heck, the remaster, remake, whatever they're doing.
Reimagining, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Because I'm actually playing Resident Evil 2 right now on Xbox because I was being really cheap. I thought it was gonna be on Game Pass, like 7 was. So I was just sitting there waiting.
Yep.
And it just never came. And after all the Sony crap that happened, now I think I might know why.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I just bought it. It was I just got Resident Evil 2 and 3 for like $20. I'm like, all right, Ryan, I know you're cheap, but we cannot pass that deal up.
Yeah, no, that's a good, it was a good deal for sure. And even right now, my gosh, during the holidays and stuff, there's a lot of good stuff on sale right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah, doing like a Game Pass show, I love Game Pass so damn much that I know like the whole stats and everyone's saying like people who are Game Pass subscribers are spending more. I'm not that person.
Right.
I am like, I don't need to. Like, there's a whole weird like Twitter thing. Like, if you only game on Game Pass, you're not a real gamer. And I'm like, well, that's kind of me. I guess I'm not a real gamer, but
Bullshit.
I've played 10 times the amount of games in the last year than I have the 5 years before that. That's just the fact. I looked it up and I was like, whoa, like I'm playing, like in a month, I'm playing more than most people play in an entire year.
Oh,
That's because of Game Pass. You know what I mean?
There's so much variety, man. And there's so much things that are like a game that comes out that like maybe you wouldn't be able to buy, or, a lot of people are on a budget and you're like, but since it's in Game Pass, I'll give it a try. I am not a MLB baseball guy. I mean, my favorite baseball game was Tommy Lasorda baseball. I love that. Seriously, back in the Genesis day.
Yeah.
It was great. Because it was simplistic controls and I'm, kind of a simplistic kind of guy. But yeah, so when, MLB, the show came out for the Xbox, I was like, oh yeah, I downloaded it and you watch the title screen of Sony come across there. It was like,
I know it was weird doing that. I did the same thing. I'm a big baseball guy. Go Red Sox, even though we've been sucking.
That's funny.
But yeah, when the MLB thing happened, I was curious to see like what the sales were going to be. And from what I gathered online when I did some research, like they were almost 1 for 1 with Sony sales. It literally doubled MLB sales.
Yeah.
Like Square Enix, take a page out of that book.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to think too, there's not as many consoles for Xbox.
Exactly.
Compared to that. And then and for it to be tied. And plus too, that people, even though it was on Game Pass, they were like, They bought like the extra teams, the extra jersey
Right.
stuff, the special stuff that because they didn't spend the money on it, so they felt like they
Yes.
could, spend the money and get
Absolutely.
that stuff. And then
There's definitely like a mentality where you're like, I'm getting it for free. We all know
Yeah.
it's not free. Like we're
Right.
not stupid. But like Forza, I'm not even a racing guy, and I bought the freaking DLC for it. Like I couldn't help it. I'm like, oh man, like
Me
everyone
too.
was talking about it, and I'm like, oh man, like
The Hot Wheels?
bye.
Yeah,
Yep. And it's great. It's really,
it
really
is.
good. But my problem with the whole Forza thing is, and I hope Microsoft doesn't do this in 2023. They cannibalized Forza, in my opinion. Even though the numbers were great,
Mhm.
like it was like within a week they sent out Halo Infinite multiplayer.
Yeah.
I was like, I instantly stopped with Forza.
Yeah.
And it's the first racing game in a long time I was actually getting into. But as soon as Halo came out, I was like, see you later.
Yeah, yeah. And there's something to that, but yet there's also the same mentality. I mean, if you look at, they say we have hundreds of games available in Game
Yeah.
Pass, and
Yep.
and same with me. You count them up. It's like, well, there's over 400 games,
I
almost
hate
500 games.
how they market Game Pass. I hate it.
But there's a reason
100
for
games. Why? Like, I mean, like,
that. You wonder why they do it that way?
Yes. Tell me, Dave. Educate me.
I will enlighten you on that one. The reason they do that is because that gives them the flexibility to drop down in certain games so they can pick up other games. So they may drop some of the lesser titles, and then they're able to get spend the money to get, may have less titles and the same amount of budget that they have on their Game Pass for games being in it, but they can actually bring in some of the bigger third party ones they may not have been able to with that. That makes sense?
Right. No, it makes sense. I mean, I knew there had to be a reason. I'm like,
Right.
Why is it always say 100? Like I'm like itchy over here. I'm like going, it's at least 400.
Right. But
at
then
one
again,
point it was
too,
over 500.
if you get on for the first time, you're like, 100 games, okay, and check it out. You're like, holy shit, there's a lot of games in
you
here.
just keep scrolling.
Exactly. So so then you're like, well, this is so much more than I thought I was going to get. So they over deliver.
That's a very good point too.
I'm full of good points.
I'm
just kidding.
I would like to think that Microsoft thought of that, but I think Microsoft marketing is terrible. So I'm not sure they actually thought that was, the purpose behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason behind my show even existing was because I'm going onto my Xbox.
Yeah.
And I'm going, where is Larry Herbert? Anybody, I don't give a crap who it is.
Yeah.
Where is the person every single week or month? I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Telling me all the Game Pass titles that are coming out. Doesn't exist. Outside of Larry's show that tells you everything that's going on Xbox, right? So he's got his show that tells you every single thing. But I was like, man, maybe people want something more concise, like bite size, where you can be like, here it is. Like, I think, man, Microsoft, in my opinion, Microsoft has some of the worst marketing I've ever seen when it comes to the Xbox side.
Right.
Like, I just don't understand. I mean, Clobriel just posted about this not that long ago on Twitter. Yeah. And he was talking about, Redfall. So Redfall, a brand new spanking trailer for their most likely first AAA game coming out in 2023.
Yep.
Only Bethesda sent out the trailer, not a peep from any official Xbox marketing whatsoever. PC Game Pass, nothing. Xbox Game Pass, nothing. Nobody. Idea Xbox, nothing. I'm like, what? It's a brand new trailer for a game that could be huge.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It's frustrating to me to see these guys just kind of fumble the ball, at least on the marketing side.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I'll agree with you. They definitely haven't hit their stride, as it were. Some of it is calculated, and I know it may seem
Well,
like you think, why would that be? Some of it's because
I know where
you
you might
don't
be going with
necessarily
that.
want to, we don't want to push things too much because right
I hear
now
you.
we're under a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah.
So
There
that's one
there
thing.
yes.
But
that could
now,
definitely be true.
did you watch when the MLB the show, for example, came out, and you were actually watching like a game, like a Major League Baseball game, and then came up the advertisement for that, and then at the end, available on Game Pass, included in Game Pass. Those did happen. A lot of them
Right.
happened.
I did see that.
Okay,
I'm just wondering like
and
like
plus
I see
too,
Sony
the
doing
trailer
these
is
like
you're right. The
major
trailer is coming, but it's not. The game's not out yet. Once the game comes out, I think
Yeah.
they'll probably full throttle. But go
I
ahead.
guess it's just it might just be because there's more Sony guys, right,
Right.
that exist. That's just a fact.
There is. I'm a Sony
and
guy too. I have a
I am too.
PlayStation 5.
I am too.
Yeah.
I run a Game Pass show, and
Mhm.
people who comment or DM me and they're like, "F Sony," blah blah blah. I'm like, you're talking to the wrong guy. You're
Yeah.
talking to the wrong guy. I'm a gamer. I'm not a console warrior, believe it or not.
Yep.
The only reason I have a Game Pass show is because I believe in the business model so much.
Mhm.
And the value to the consumer is just, I've never seen anything like it ever. Like in
Yeah.
any subscription service that exists, Netflix or not, I think it's worth way more than Netflix is.
Oh yeah.
In my personal opinion.
I'm
And
with
that's
you.
why I push it like I basically work for Microsoft, but I don't.
Right. Exactly. I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to get into this anyway, so now that we're really starting to get into the nitty gritty, I want to, of course, got to play this because this actually has to do with what we're talking about.
This is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists.
I love when he laughs. The little chuckle.
Where it exists everywhere.
Exactly. And we'll get into that a little more as we talk. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I want to let's talk about the I guess obviously you're very passionate about it, which is great. And
I am.
So what made you get started? I mean, what was your first how did you start, your first episode of Game Pass Weekly, or how did it come to that?
Well, I technically started as Rhetri in my own TikTok channel a while ago, which
Mhm.
doesn't exist anymore. I killed it to put more focus on other stuff.
Mhm.
And then I worked with a group of guys. You probably know them. There was a little bit of controversy online on Twitter. Shocker. With, with a group of guys that were called Game Pass Counter. They're basically a website where they tell you all the Game Pass games that are coming out. They also have one now for PlayStation. So they were looking for actually people to come in, and they wanted to start up something, a website basically, kind of like IGN essentially. So I got hired on with those guys as one of two of the video production leads, and made a ton of videos for those guys on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, wherever the heck else we were. So I did that for a while, and it kind of they weren't really generating money. So it kind of fell apart. Everyone was like, how long are we gonna work for free? You know what I mean?
Yep.
But then I was like, man, even though the experience kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, I really loved it. Like, I really loved creating the content. And as someone I've owned multiple businesses throughout my career in video production and just creating content in general. It's my, usually doing commercials and stuff like that. But it's hard to find something like when you're making content over and over and over again for months and then years to find something that you actually love. Like I used to do weddings. Never will I edit video, anything to do with a wedding. It was terrible.
Yeah,
and I
that's
made
tough.
a ton of money and it didn't matter. Right. But video game content never gets old for me. Like I love it. So I decided I was kind of looking at what was missing out of Microsoft and their marketing, and I kind of felt like it was Game Pass. I talked it up so much when I was working with the GPN guys. I was basically the Game Pass guy through them, and I just kind of carried that over. And I'm like, I'm gonna do something that just gives the information to everybody without necessarily giving my opinion, and do it in as fast as I possibly can, so people can get the information, get in, get out, and go, oh, okay, that's what's coming out for Game Pass. Here's some trailers. Here's the videos. And but now I'm doing news. So I'm doing breaking news that has to do with anything to do with Game Pass acquisition, rumors, whatever.
That's awesome.
So I just added that into, which I'm having a ton of fun with. But yeah, so I mean, I just started this in this year. So it's, you know, I'm still brand new. I'm still fresh. So follow me.
Well, you know, everybody got to start somewhere. And I think you're doing a really good job. That's one of the reasons why I want to have you on, because I started, you know, paying attention to, you know, to what you were, you know, to what you were putting out,
Right.
as it were. And I'll have the links in the description below,
Awesome.
to your Twitter, to your YouTube channel, everywhere people can reach out to you, and you know, and keep it like YouTube channel especially. You want to make sure that you, and not only do you subscribe, but you hit the little bell icon. Same with Twitter. When you follow somebody, you have the option to know like everything this person posts to make sure it pops up in your feed. And that's important to do, because you know, you don't bombard, but you stay current. And if you really want to know what stuff's coming out, it's the best way to know.
Yeah, that was a thing I was having a tough time with too. Like, I know if I tweet a ton, like, yeah, I'll get more followers, but I didn't want to do that. I definitely did not want to bombard people with useless filler crap, essentially. I wanted to try to give them information that makes sense to anyone who is a Game Pass subscriber. So I would, you know, one day I send out something for all the games that are coming to Game Pass. Then another day it's games that are leaving Game Pass. Xbox Ultimate perks. Like nobody talks about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like, it's like a resource that I'd be guessing if I could see Microsoft numbers, nobody's probably touching the perks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's, I think it's under you. I do.
Yeah, exactly.
The hardcore do. But I want more people. Like I've sent out stuff where like, hey guys, like Xbox, you know, Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, here's some cool perks for whatever Fallout 76 and whatnot. And people are like, oh man, thank you. Like I forgot these exist. And I was like, you don't say.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, like my son's really big into the Phantasy Star Online 2.
Right.
And every month they give away a little it's basically it's like a little like a care package type thing. It's not an extravagant amount of stuff, but it's free and
but
it's
it adds
usually
up though.
Exactly.
And
every
they
month
keep
you
doing
get
it.
Right. Every month.
That's
and you can just claim it, go on, get it in your game. And then if you're not playing, even if you're not playing that month or that time,
doesn't matter. You claim it, you got it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I do. I'm just like claim. Games I'll probably never play, Dave. I'm like, why not? Right.
Well, that's one thing free, I probably don't do. If it's something I know I'm not going to play, I probably don't. But if it's something I have a chance to play, but the thing is, it's there. If you want to do it, great. If you don't.
Absolutely. It's just so underutilized too. And there's a lot of really good freebies. I just don't think a lot of people know it exists because
Yeah.
with the Xbox platform and how everything's set up, I think a lot of stuff is buried, that especially.
Yeah.
So just trying to shine a light on stuff like that, and trailers too.
Yeah.
I kind of do like, hey, in 5 days, like this awesome game is coming up. Like Somerville was one I just did. Like
Awesome.
that game is, it's going to be so good.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it is. I hope.
Well, it's, the pre buzz on it's pretty high.
Yeah.
And why not give it a shot? Because it's included in Game Pass. And if
Exactly.
you don't like it, don't play it.
I mean, it's a guy, it's the co-creator from, I think, Play Dead Games.
Yeah.
Who did Limbo and Inside, which are
Amazing.
Inside, oh my God, I love that game so much. Like, I cannot overstate how much I love Inside. And Somerville has Inside vibes all over it from what I'm seeing. So I'm thinking, here's what's weird too, to go on a kind of side tangent here.
Go ahead.
But I was never a big indie, Ori, I was never a big indie guy. Before Game Pass, I didn't touch indies ever.
Wow.
Ever.
Yeah.
I was always AAA, big budget games. And what a mistake. What a huge mistake, Game Pass is so powerful in just, nibbling, just dipping your toes into something you never, ever would have touched before in your life. And it has opened up like a world of indies for me where I'm kind of almost preferring some of the indie experiences too, especially when I get older too. It's hard for me to put in 200 hours for a game, even though Elden Ring is game of the year. I'm just saying it, but those are unique experiences for me. Like when I see an RPG, I'm like, my brain kind of goes, oh shit. Like, do I want to just give up my life for at least a month minimum? That's why I like some of this bite-sized games. They're great. I'm okay with even a story-driven game. If it's like 30 hours or under, I'm like, yes.
Yeah. You can feel like you've accomplished something.
Right.
And, and some games are, simple or short to where you can get in, you play for a little bit, couple days, and and then you're on to the next, and another adventure, more experiences to have, and that's awesome. I love the variety and the choices you get in there. Something that Hargeek Johnny had talked about when he was on, and I really love this, that because if you ever watch, especially watching his when you friend him on Game Pass, and you'll see he's almost always playing the games that are leaving because he wants to make sure he gets them in before they're gone. A lot of times, and also to that point, because not everything stays in Game Pass. Some things rotate around, which is great. But with Game Pass, if you're a subscriber to Game Pass and or Game Pass Ultimate, if there's a game that's in Game Pass and then it's also available in the store, you can buy it at a discount.
Right.
You automatically get a discount.
Yep.
Which is great.
I think a lot of people are doing that too. I usually don't, because if I'm going to play it, I am guilty of doing what Hargeet did and going, oh man, like being a weirdo, I have like a list of games.
Right.
That because I'll forget. There's so many games I will forget that X game even existed. And one of those for me was The Artful Escape. Now, I played that right before it was getting bumped out of Game Pass, and it ended up being one of my favorite games literally ever.
Yeah.
And it's not even like intricate. It's not crazy with like gameplay mechanics or anything, but man, that game spoke to me. And I'm like, I almost missed this game. I would have been so angry at myself because everyone was like, it's so great. It's awesome. And I'm like, yeah. And then I was like, fine, I'll play it. And then I did. Yeah. I was loving it. It was great.
Yeah.
And that's what Game Pass does.
Yeah. Game Pass is It's pretty amazing. I signed up when the all right, so I've told the story before, but the Xbox Series X was coming out, and then the obviously, like within a day or two, the PlayStation 5 was coming out.
Mhm.
And I'm not a rich man. I still have a budget and all kinds of things I got to watch out for.
Right.
But so it came down and I wanted them both. We actually had the money to get both of them at the time. But, I knew I could like buy the PlayStation day one and get it and pay it off, just have it,
Mhm.
And then with the option that they had for the all
All
access,
access?
that's
Bingo.
what I did. And I knew
You
what
did
Game
literally
Pass
the
was.
same thing I did.
Yeah. So I was telling my wife, I was like, well, I don't have to spend all this money.
Right.
And I can get this and I can do a monthly payment. She's like, how much? And I told her, and she, told her what it included with the Game Pass and everything. She was like, well, that sounds like a good deal. Go ahead and do that. And I was like, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, wifey.
Excellent. Yeah. So
Right.
so that was and like I said, I really wasn't. I mean, I knew what Game Pass was, but I wasn't, that really versatile. But as soon as I got it, and then, it's right there on the dashboard if you get an all access console to activate it. So activated it, got it all going, tied in with the game thing. In fact, this is November, so this is my last payment because it's been 2
Yeah,
years.
right.
So and so what am I gonna do? Series S.
Oh yeah.
Most likely I will do that. It kind of depends on this the family plan. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear what's going to happen with I mean, I expect that announcement to come within a month from now.
Yeah.
Well, when's the Game Awards?
The 19th, I think, or something
That's
like that.
probably when it's going to drop.
And it would make sense to do that.
It would be a huge, I mean, that to me is the mic drop. Like, I don't think people can fathom how big of a deal that is going to be when it comes out. Because once the average Joe goes, wait a second, I didn't want to pay 15, but if I can get a bunch of my Call of Duty buddies or whatever, and I'm paying $5, like nobody's gonna touch that deal. Sony can't touch it, Nintendo can't touch it. Nobody is gonna even come close to matching that. They're essentially taking Game Pass and making it cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
With me, $25 a month. And then I have and right now I'm the only subscriber in my family that does it. My son does it a few times, like does the the dollar one for a while, or does it for a couple of months because of a game, then he'll drop it. Because he's on a budget as well, too.
Right.
He's 30 or 31 now. So so I'm really am old. But but yeah, so so with that, I'm gonna be able to get my son, his roommate, my daughter, and my wife, who doesn't really, she plays a lot of phone games, mobile games.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling when this acquisition thing is done, putting her on there, and then everybody will like, here, honey, here's mobile Game Pass. All these games you get to play now.
Right.
And she's going to be like, woo, Candy Crush for free. Unlimited.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the kind of game she likes to play. Because she's a huge Donkey Kong player, that kind of thing. Big on that. But when it came out on Donkey Kong 64, the 3D, I wasn't even like 2 or 3 minutes of playing, and she was just like, I can't do this. It's just 3D, just you pulling the camera around, and it just, to her, it was like, oh, I got
right,
sick.
yeah.
Just didn't like it, and she still doesn't like, she loves 2D games and likes the the phone games, but as far as anything that's 3D, it doesn't work for her. So, but she's still a gamer.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah. And it's a great deal. I hope it's not. I don't think it's going to be beyond $25 in the US. I really don't see that happening at all.
I don't see it either. Right.
It's funny too, because I remember I talked about this like 2 years ago when the rumors even were starting to whiff around. And that was my price point. I said 2025. I got so much crap for saying that. Are you insane? There's no effing way they're going to do it for that price. That's crazy. And I'm like, I'm just doing basic math, right?
Yeah.
The average household probably only needs like 2 to 3, subscriptions.
Mhm.
So if the average household only needs 2 because you have a second console, that's $30. You have to undercut that. And it's
Mhm.
got to be 25. And everyone's like, you're
Yep.
an idiot.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. And the thing that really is cool about it. So you got like, you got to think that there's it's like $25, dollars, for the month, and you get like I said, I'm adding 4. So like,
Right.
if I was a Game Pass subscriber, I'm counting as 1. Well, as soon as that comes in, that's plus 4.
Mhm.
So the Game Pass numbers are going to start going up. And a lot of people
Yeah.
are thinking too that like Game Pass is going to like eventually they're going to raise the price, and they possibly could.
I think they will. I
Well,
don't know if it'll happen anytime soon, though.
here's the reason why I don't think it's going to happen is because if they keep their games at around 400 to 500 in this ecosystem, including the day and date ones, because there's going to be a lot of games that come in, but it's not going to
Right.
flood overnight. It's not going to be like 100 Microsoft games in there, and then bump everything else out. So with that, and they keep growing, you got to think, if it's 25 for 5 people, and then every other person, or there's still going to be people that do the $10 or the
Right.
$14.99, the $15 a month, and the numbers get up to 30 million, 40 million, 50 million,
Mhm.
100 million subscribers. They have that much more money to spend. So I just
Like,
think that
you mean like inside the ecosystem?
right. Once you're
Yeah,
in the
I think,
ecosystem, I think
it's
the money is
definitely a move by Microsoft to get a punch in the face in the beginning for a
Mhm.
subscriber, get them through the door,
Yep.
because they can't lie, right? They're not
Right.
lying about people spending more money. They can't. They got shareholders. They
Yep.
have to tell the truth. So we know that's happening. I'm not
Mhm.
one of those people, but we know other people
Oh,
are
yeah.
spending more money having Game Pass.
Mhm.
So it's a loss. It's an upfront loss for a long-term gain, and it just
Right.
makes a ton of sense. And I'm very curious to see what the numbers go to. I'm hoping Microsoft, releases this in December and makes a huge deal out of it.
Mhm.
I've been debating, like, are they just waiting because of ABK? Like, are they so afraid to send the ultimate deal out to the public so they
Maybe.
can use it against them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know.
but I don't know. I don't know either. I also think the game prices will increase before Game Pass for
Agreed.
just obvious reasons, that it automatically increases the value of Game Pass the second they do that. As
Yep.
soon as everything goes to $70, and it goes to 70, and then you drop family plan for
Mhm.
$5, it's one $70 game or an entire year
Mhm.
of Game Pass. It's a mic drop moment. Like,
Yep.
if I'm Xbox, that's exactly how I am talking about it. Do you want one God of War, or
Yeah.
do you want an entire year for the exact same price?
Right. But
That's
and
hard to beat.
you could look at it this way too. If you're thinking, okay, so I'm playing for right now, let's not even talk about family plans, just talking about regular Game Pass,
Right.
$15 a month, and I'm getting all these great games, and I'm always going to have games to play, and all the Microsoft games I know are going to be, Starfield, day and date included in Game Pass. So technically, I don't have to buy that. That gives me money to spend elsewhere, as far
Mhm.
as like even the same ecosystem, like Elden Ring and games like that, that Microsoft is going to make money off of if they're on their platform.
Right.
So I'm just saying that there's definitely, money to be had. Obviously, it's a big industry and it's getting bigger, and it's already surpassed the movie industry, the music industry.
Oh yeah.
So, and, Bill was laughed at when he said he wants to get to 3 billion people someday. But if
Yeah.
they really push into mobile, they really have a big shot at doing it.
Yeah. The mobile thing I kind of love and hate. Like I get
Right.
it. Like I'm not a mobile guy per
Yeah,
se,
I'm not
but
either.
I do see a world where I mean the mobile is where the money is. Like
Mhm.
nobody can deny that if they've done 5 seconds of research. So what I'm hoping happens is I know they're going to focus more on mobile. They're definitely probably going to buy more studios that are making mobile games. It's Microsoft. It makes a lot of sense for them to do that. I'm hoping that the money that they make there will trickle over to us. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That'll just make the whole experience better. Like I do agree, when Boom said there's going to be a $5 mobile plan, I 100% can see that happening. I'm a
Oh,
little
yeah.
shocked it already hasn't, but yeah, it's an exciting time to be an Xbox gamer just to see like what's the next thing that these guys are gonna do. We know they're in Samsung TVs. I'm sure they're working with LG right now. It'd be kind of stupid if they were not trying to implement, the app inside LGs too, because every single person I know that's been looking for gaming TVs for the last like 5 years, it's LG,
Right.
Samsung secondary.
Right.
So
And
I
you got
think that
to
will
think
come.
too that app, once it's perfected and once it's really out there, easily accessible, and like I said, I think it's really going to premiere mostly first anyway, on those. But I think there'll be future devices, not just maybe Microsoft, but I mean Microsoft could say like, okay, cool, Roku can make a device that
Right.
has the ability to have a controller connected to it
Mm-hmm.
and download the app on your Roku, and there you go. You're off and running.
Yep. I could totally see that happening. And Roku would be actually a really good partner because I'm pretty sure they're number one in streaming devices, anyways. Obviously, it won't be Apple or Google, but
Right. It won't be a Fire Stick and it won't be an Apple
right.
TV, I don't think.
I don't
But
think so. Who knows? You never know.
yeah. But and plus too with the probably the best time to really kick in on the mobile would be once they get the ABK deal done, because
Yeah.
they'll have blockbusters like Candy Crush, and then there's
Candy Crush, the Epic deal.
yeah, and then what
You
was
know?
the there is a not Doom. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. They're talking about the new like console version coming out. Number 4 is coming. Everybody
I have
watching
no
this is
clue what
gonna
you're
yell at
talking
me.
about.
I
I
know
can't save
exactly.
you.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm on my own little island right now. But I guarantee you, people are listening to this going, "You
Yeah, they're like
dumbass! It's
screaming. They're
this.
like,
It's
the
it's this.
thing.
It's this." And I can see it right in front of my eyes. And I just Diablo 4. But
Oh my God.
there's a
Oh, okay.
mobile version of
Yeah.
Diablo that's
Yeah.
really big. And
Right.
well, they have that. Well, they will have
Oh my
that.
God.
And I can
Yeah.
just include that in the app too. Holy crap.
Yeah. I'm curious to see like the implementation or I guess the crossover between
Mhm.
mobile and everything else. Cause a lot of people were talking in the beginning with the ABK thing with, God, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. I'm doing it.
Your turn.
The the online game. Oh my Lord, it's got millions of players, millions upon millions. Warcraft,
World of
Jesus.
Warcraft.
Thank
Yep.
you. And we're saying that they think they might fold it into Game Pass, and I'm going. It sounded great, like as a consumer, that sounds awesome. But the
Mhm.
more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, they're already paying, I think, 15 a month.
I
As
think
it
it's like
is.
12, I think.
Is it 12? Okay.
Yeah, I
So,
think it's
all right.
yeah.
So I don't know if they would fold that in, but
But what they could do is they could give
man,
you like those perks,
right,
like so
yes.
much gold a month.
Yeah, exactly.
So those
Kind
are
of
things they could
Candy Crush thing, right? Like they give
Oh yeah,
you
or
coins or whatever it is, like the
Yep.
incentive to do it. That's a very good point. And that's probably how I imagine they would have implemented it as well. I don't think it'll get folded in, but that's a lot. I think it's over 100 million active users for that game too.
Yeah.
Which is just banana. I can't believe people are still paying monthly for that, but
Yeah, it made over $1 billion again last year for Candy Crush alone on mobile. So yeah, I know. Amazing.
I didn't know that until I started doing my research on this stuff, and I was like, wait, what? Candy Crush?
Exactly.
I didn't even know it was still a thing, Dave. Like,
yep.
I told my wife that. She's like, what? Like, that's the power of mobile. Just like COD mobile is massive,
Yeah. I think it'd be neat, and a lot of people would be like, I don't want that on my console, but it'd be nice if something like Candy Crush,
I agree,
was something you could play on your console.
I completely agree.
My wife is a big mobile fan, and she loves Candy Crush. She's played it a bunch. But
there's no reason not to do that, because you can get more people like your wife that would probably never touch the console or the app on the TV or anything, and you get that crossover, and it's just more money for Microsoft. So win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Right. Scrooge McDuck, swimming in my millions.
Goodness. Exactly. Well, Rhetri, as we start to I guess wrap things up here. Let me get you to a I guess question I kind of ask everybody. And so I guess, what game that's not out yet that everybody knows about, and it can be more than one, are you most looking forward to playing in the future?
All right.
And it can be more than one.
Question of good, because I'm not gonna just say one.
That's fine. Nobody gives me just one.
Yeah, it'd be kind of impossible for me to do that anyways. All right, so I'm gonna say Redfall as my first one.
Nice.
The reason I'm saying Redfall is and I don't know if this is going to replace this game, but I was a Left 4 Dead stan to the point where I was like writing the studio and being like, when's the next one? Like, for 11 years I did that. I'm like, I just gave up. And then Back 4 Blood came out, and I was like, yes, oh my God, it's the same team. Like, this is going to be awesome. And then I played it, and then it wasn't. It was nothing like Left 4 Dead for me.
Right.
The campaign part of Back 4 Blood is really good. Really, really, really good. But the versus mode and the player versus player, the online part of it they completely screwed it up, in my opinion. I'm hoping Redfall can slide in there and give me those old Left 4 Dead vibes. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
So, and the weird thing is, I'm not really an Arcane fan. So a lot of people love a lot of their games. I'm very kind of wish-washy when it comes to them. So,
right.
But I think it looks really good, and it certainly looks really polished to me. So, one thing I do like, on a little side tangent, one thing I like about what Microsoft is doing is it feels like they're giving all their studios just time to polish, something that a lot of studios just didn't have the money to do. So I do imagine a lot of Microsoft games are actually going to take longer, maybe 6 months to a year longer on average, like maybe all of them, to get that very polished state so they can get those Metacritic numbers up, which I'm perfectly fine with them doing. But all right. So another game I would probably say is High on Life.
Yeah, that's looking pretty good.
It just looks really fun. Just kind of stupid fun. You know what I mean? Like, the animations and the colors are gorgeous and they pop a lot. So it feels like that one's up my alley. And I'm going to keep going. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Diablo 4 for sure. Like
Yep.
I haven't played Diablo since Diablo 2, and I
Mhm.
really loved it. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Starfield, of course. I love Skyrim. It's probably one of my, like, in the top 5 of forever of all time.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping they can capture some of that same kind of magic in
Mhm.
Starfield, and Callisto Protocol,
Oh
because
yeah,
it looks so good.
it does.
It looks so creepy, and it's weird. I play a lot of horror games, but I'm a complete wuss. Like, I'm the guy who will, like, I'll run into the room and then just start swinging shit, like,
Funny.
because I'm too afraid to, like, creep in and get that jump scare.
Right. Right.
So I just dive in there.
That's the way to do it. There you go.
Yeah. So
Oh goodness.
that was a lot. That was like 5 games,
That's
but
all right.
there's more. I could go
Oh, I'm
on
with you.
forever,
I'm with
but
you.
yeah.
That's awesome. Rhetri, dude, thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate you being on
Sure.
and letting people know more about the great content that you provide, because like you said, it's it's, I think you help pick up the slack where Microsoft isn't doing as much as maybe they could, but like I said, maybe there's reasons for that, but
Yeah.
so people don't have to worry about it, they can just follow you and then get all that information set up. So if you don't mind, tell people where they can find you. I mean, obviously everything's
Sure.
going to be in the description below, but we definitely would like people to, to be able to just find out where you're at. So how can people get a hold
Yeah.
of you, and how can people find out more, where to listen to you?
So they can find me on Twitter at Game Pass Weekly. That's probably the best way, just because you can look at my bio and then there will be links to Game Pass Weekly
Mhm.
on TikTok and Twitter as well, because I'm not huge yet. So if you type in Game Pass Weekly on YouTube, good luck. You're going to be scrolling for a very long time. Because I tried it and I was like, oh crap, like, I am not anywhere to be seen. So but yeah, that's probably the easiest way to find me. And yeah, follow me, guys. Like, I'm trying to build a good community. I might start doing, like, if my audience grows and whatnot, I'm gonna do community play nights and stuff like that, because
That'll be
I love
awesome.
playing with all kinds of different people and meeting new people on
Yeah,
Xbox.
and that's a good way to do it too. Well,
Yeah.
dude, thanks again, Richard, for being here. I really appreciate it so much.
Absolutely.
And thanks everybody for watching us. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and definitely hit the subscribe button here. And thank you for joining us
All right.
here at Outbreak Gamers.
Game over.